Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help. And King of Floors, your vinyl, laminate, and engineered flooring superstore.
As Rick recovers from his shoulder issue, he got his second vaccination yesterday.
Couple aspirin in me, doing good, fighting it, gutting it out, playing hurt.
This is the second host you've worked with that had a shoulder issue a lot.
Who else?
At 10:40, you had a host you worked with in the afternoons.
Oh, Pratt. Yeah. Pratt would often take days off because of a sore shoulder. Like, and multiple times.
Yeah.
And like my reaction was like, what does a shoulder have to do with talking into a microphone?
That
didn't go over well with Dave.
My shoulder's acted up.
My shoulder.
Okay, let's bring in the wake of the Lightning's 1-0 victory over the Habs last night, securing their second straight Stanley Cup, third overall. Let's bring in NHL Analyst, part of the Bob McCown podcast, John Shannon. John, thanks for doing this. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, boys. By the way, there are some people out there listening to you think that Pratt took years off. What are you talking about?
I know all about that. Love Dave. Love working with him. Hey, John, what impressed you the most about the Lightning? Not just this year, but even going back a few years.
A couple things. First of all, this is a team that learned how to play any way you want. We look at great teams, we look at great athletes, and I'm not making this comparison to incite anybody, but Muhammad Ali could box any way you wanted. Mm-hmm. He could go inside, he could dance around, he could use the quick jab, he could just wail away. He could fight you any way you wanted. Well, that's what Tampa can do. They can play the game of hockey any way you want. You want to open it up? We'll open it up. You want to be tight checking? We'll be tight checking. You want to be physical? We'll be physical. I think that's the thing that more than anything else, that this team could do absolutely anything at any time, and that probably impressed me. The other part is, and this is something that I'd love the other owners and managers to take note of, because this is, after all, a copycat league, is after that team went to the Stanley Cup final in 2015, it had some adversities. It had the adversity of not making the playoffs the following year, and then a couple years later getting ousted by Columbus in 4 straight. Mm-hmm. Well, they didn't change the coach. They didn't change the core. They were very patient. They knew what they had. Jeff Vinnick, the owner, trusted Steve Yzerman and then trusted Julien Brisebois to do the right thing, and I think that that's been rewarded with 2 Stanley Cups in a row. Owners could learn to be more patient with the process.
Hope you take this the right way, John, but you've been around for a while. The Tampa Bay Lightning have been around since 1992 when they played in the 11,000-seat Expo Hall in Tampa. What were your early impressions of the Tampa Bay Lightning franchise?
Well, remember, it was that was a fascinating time because Tampa came in the same year as Ottawa did.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
And so anything that Tampa did looked really good compared to because Ottawa was so darn bad. And we were, when we did the NHL that year, it was, we were at the old Ottawa Civic Center, 9,000, and we were at the Expo Hall, as you talked about, and then the Thunderdome after that. They were. Tampa had some success early. Terry Crisp did a good job of coaching that team early on. They were a much more entertaining and bigger factor than Ottawa was, and that's what I remember more than anything else is that they were more competitive quicker than the Senators were.
Have I got this right? Didn't Mel Bridgman's computer break down just before the draft, and they had to go off notes or off memory
like that.
for their first draft? Not to knock Mel, but I seem to remember that story.
Memory has it that, and Mel's a friend of mine, still is. I think he drafted a dead guy. I think he tried to draft a dead guy.
Yeah, I remember that story too.
But they were, listen, that was a team that was supposed to be in Hamilton. It wasn't supposed to be in Ottawa. Mm-hmm. So if you recall, the president at the time went to Ron Joyce, who owned Tim Hortons, and said, listen, how would you like to pay us the $50 million? He says, well, I'll pay you $25 million now and then $25 million a year from now. And the Ottawa guys said, well, we'll pay you 50 right now. Well, they didn't have 50.
Wow.
And Ron Joyce got penalized for being honest and not paying in a timely fashion the way the league wanted, and that's why the NHL was in Ottawa rather than Hamilton.
Interesting.
Hey, John, take a look at Montreal for us. Boy, their injured list last night really hit home with me. Weber, thumb, Petrie, fingers, Toffoli, groin, Gallagher, groin, and the coach said much, and the list is way higher. What did you think of their gutsy run?
Well, listen, I think that it was, once they got to Game 5 against the Toronto Maple Leafs, they were a team of destiny. They played so well. Carey Price did what he had to do. You knew that Shea Weber wasn't 100%, but every night he was out there doing what he had to do. The Petrie, the famous photo hole, Petrie finger issue was amazing. The fact that he was able to come back and play and contribute. But in the end, I think we're going to remember more of the new kids for Montreal. Nick Suzuki. What an acquisition that was from Vegas in the Max Pacioretty deal. Kotkaniemi will be a quality player. I still don't understand why he didn't play the last two games, in my opinion. Romanov, glad he got into the lineup. He's going to be a star in Montreal. And Cole Caulfield. I'm not sure. I mean, we know he can shoot the puck. I still think he has to learn the NHL game. But this is a team that's in much better shape, and I'm sorry, I should have mentioned Josh Anderson before this, because in many ways, maybe Josh Anderson will become the poster child of the Montreal Canadiens.
Well, take a look at Vancouver for me, John. I mean, there could be fireworks in this city in the next 3 weeks. Is Jake Virtanen going to be bought out? Nate Schmidt, the possible trade. You still haven't signed Pettersson and Hughes. What are you hearing on Vancouver right now, John?
Well, I'll be surprised. I think the buyout period starts at your time 9:30 tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
Today's Thursday. I've lost track of days. Yeah, today's Thursday. So
yes.
Buyout period starts 9:30 tonight your time. I think we're going to see a few guys being bought out as people prepare for the expansion draft. I wouldn't be surprised if Virtanen's one of them. And it's not just for all the off-ice issues. I think that there's a little impatience with what Jake has offered, particularly this season at times. And then I still think we're going to see a lot more jockeying before teams have to put their rosters in before the 17th. Let me throw another date at you guys. Mm-hmm. The 13th of July. The 13th of July is a key date when teams have to. That's the deadline for requesting the guys with no-move clauses to waive their no-move clauses. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see, not just in Vancouver, but lots of teams go to players and say, hey, listen, will you consider waiving your no-move clause? We don't think you're going to get picked, but will you consider waiving it so that we don't have to protect you because we have a young guy we want to protect? And that could be a very dramatic day. That's the 13th of July.
I think the Lightning are capable of, as we get back to last night, do you think they're capable of three-peating, John, when you look at their salary situation, the talent that will still be there undoubtedly?
Well, I think you were bang on earlier. I mean, their core is going to be their core, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you think that Hedman's still going to be there, Chernak's going to be there, Point's going to be there, Kucherov's there, Vasilevsky's in goal, Yanni Gourd's going to be there. There's a ton of quality bodies that are going to stay in Tampa, and even in the flat cap world, I think they're going to be I think they're going to be the best team in that division. Yeah. In the Atlantic Division next year, I think that they're going to be at the top of the heap. And the question then becomes, in order to get to the 81-5, once a couple of players have been moved, are some of the guys who are free agents prepared to take hometown discounts to stay there?
Yep.
It's a pretty good lifestyle.
Yeah.
You heard Blake Coleman talk about it last night. What a great place to play and live.
Yep.
How much more money do you need? No state tax, so you're taking more home. I wouldn't be surprised in their own way that Julien Brisebois finds a way to keep a couple of those unrestricted free agents in very, very friendly contracts. I think Taylor Johnson's going to Seattle. I think he'll be the guy that Ronnie Francis takes. Just makes sense to me. But in the end, I think that I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of those free agent guys stay and not get paid very much money.
Tyler Johnson from Washington State, from Spokane. Hey, John, thanks so much for the. One more. Let me throw one more at you very quickly. Are you hearing anything about Oliver Ekman-Larsson and his availability?
I'm not, but the fact that he wanted to play there last year makes sense that he wants to play this year. Let me throw one thing at you.
Yeah.
His salary for the upcoming season is $10.5 million cash.
Cash.
10.5 cash. How much is Arizona going to eat for any team to want to take him? That's, to me, I think in a year where nobody's had cash, everybody's in debt, I think people are going to be scared to take that kind of salary unless Arizona takes a good hunk of it.
Great information. Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Great as always.
Have a great day, boys.
You bet.